Top of the morning to you folks. I'll be right with you here, just grabbing a couple other pins out of the pin pile. Oh, sounds like pig pen. This is like a pig pen on my desk here, so we'll keep the camera limited to this small space today. Terry Tardy, is she on the show? Did I miss that name that comes up there? Okay, we'll have to wait and see. That'd be fantastic. There she is. Great Scott. Christmas. I better get out the Terry Tardy turquoise. What do you mean get it? It always stays out. All right, let me check this camera. Let me make sure it's happening. There's that one. Boom. My desk has been turned upside down, so I'm just getting all my... And I slept late, which is fantastic. I don't ever do that. There I am. Good morning. Top of the morning to you. And blessings to you. Hope you're doing well. I'm Michael. Grandkids call me Roo. It's Saturday morning, December the 2nd. Holy smokes. You know that old question, where does the time go? I'm not here to answer that. I don't know. But Carol and I celebrated an anniversary this week, and one that I was meeting with some friends on Wednesday, and they said, oh my gosh, which anniversary is it? And I said, it's one that's older than you were, that you are. And so that's always a fun thing to be in this world and survive with people around you that you love. So that's fun. I paint watercolor. I don't know if y'all knew that. And I think what I do is I paint. I use the brushes more like you might use some sort of a wand if you were, or a baton if you were leading an orchestra. There's a lot of punching and waving and moving around and throwing brushes across the room. And just because I want to be a little bit of the mad scientist in my approach, and I did a different painting this week, and I'm gonna show you how I did it this morning, just really briefly. And then I have a morning of a story I want to tell you because it's December the 2nd. So Carol and I have a busy day planned. Here's where we're headed. We're not traveling far. It's kind of a gray day, so I'm waiting to see if the sun breaks. That's not going to stop our trip, but it's chilly, but it's not snowing or cold or anything like that. I mean, for heaven's sakes, I live in the Southeast, so if you don't like snow here, wait 5 minutes and it'll be gone generally. But we are going to go get our Christmas tree today, so I've sharpened up the axe. And we'll drive down to a big box store, and I'll just carry the axe because it looks like I've gone to get one. I'm just kidding. My chopping trees, we can drive 2 hours to the mountains and saw one down on a Christmas tree lot, or dig it up, or chop it down. And I'm going like, no, why would I drive 4.5, almost 5 hours and pay twice the amount when I could just go get one? And so you start rationalizing those things that I didn't do when I was a young man. But I'm going to tell the story of our nativity today. So that's on the show. And that's the story that Carol really started in our family, the incredible chasing of Advent because of what this season means to me. And I paint it in my paintings. I keep up with it. Let me say hello to some of you. I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you how to do a loose painting. And I haven't even made notes today. I usually come up here and make some notes. I should write a couple things down here. I'll write them on the back of the Eiffel Tower. Let's see. Let me go to the desk to show you what the desk looks like. There's top of the morning to you. That's an Eiffel Tower. That's I didn't draw that. And here we'll officially say it. It's showtime. And by the way, this painting has become, now a tea towel, which is kind of fun from my friends at Pen Prints. There it is right there. So Showtime has now become a tea towel. So isn't that, so you hang this over your biscuit skillet. I'll do biscuits in cast iron. So when it comes out of the oven, I say, it's showtime. And I cover them up with this, and then I just go, like abracadabra, and there are my biscuits. Anyway, that turned out, look at this. It had to brighten it a little bit, but this paper is, you're getting a little bit of light. This fabric is 100% cotton. It's catching the light, and the colors really did well here. and even the splash, and we cut some of this out. Just felt like it'd be too much on that. As when we sent them the piece, they do a great job. All right, so here we go. Let me do this. I was going to make a note. Thank you for loving the tea towels, but I'm going to tell a story today about the nativity. That's on there. So if I forget, somebody remind me. It's nativity time, and I want to tell the story. I'm looking for. Here's what I'm looking for. Hold on one second here. All right, let's do this. Let's do this way. I actually did make notes yesterday and last night, and then I don't know what happened to me, but I lost. So nativity, and loose style. I want to do this different painting that I've just been looking at on my desk here and fiddling around with, and it's even more of the just letting colors run and do. It's very much like I do sometimes with ink, and just let it go, and then we're going to talk about. Oh yeah. Let's do this. This will give you the idea. Okay, here we go. So I want to start with this loose painting first. Let me say hello. I hadn't even done that, huh? Thanks for jumping on the show this morning. Holy smokes, it's a full day here on December the 2nd. Pat Brooks, blessings to you, my dear friend. And Pat, I got the mail last night about 11 o'clock. I thought, oh yeah, I bet I probably had mail today. And about 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I'm thinking, and so I have a note I haven't even opened. No kidding. And so, but thank you very much. Always good to hear from you, Pat. Of course, illustrated Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle, and those are certainly on Amazon, and that's where they sell most of the time. If they sell, if any of my books sell, if anything sells, it's out there somewhere. So, and from right here, Denise Albright, Exeter, California. Always fun to have you on the show. And I hope your art's doing well. I think you had a pop-up shop, as you mentioned. That's fantastic that you're selling some of your art and cards. Awesome. Jennifer Yentz, blessings to you. Becky Bailey, love to have you here. Jason Nicholas, always talk to Jason and about Jason. And then Jason is the punster on the show. But New Jersey architect, I had one of my late calls in the office last night with an architect in Dallas, and she's working on a project that they've asked me to do something for. A very, very different project that I won't go into right now, but I will take some pictures and tell you about it later. And I'll tell you the supplies and the materials that I've ordered in to make this thing out of. I've had to get some protective gloves to work with it. So we'll just see how that comes to fruition, and I'll shoot some photos. All right. So I love it when you get a call from people who go, hey, and it's an idea that I sort of pitched them in walking by on the site one time. I said, you should take that and do that with it. And they went, you're not wired right. And I went, maybe I'm wired right. And so about a year and a half later now, they've come back and said, okay, let's do that. That sounds fun. So I didn't even know they were taking notes other than they said something. So sometimes outrageousness counts. Beverly Schmidt, thanks for being on the show. Annette Henslin from way up there. Looking forward to the nativity story. Thank you, Annette. Bert Crone, I won't hold you too long. I'll do it here just a little bit after I paint something. Bert Crone out of Greenville. June Jones, love your sense of humor. Terry Tardy, folks, is in the house. Terry Tardy is a potter. That's not all she does. But met her in January 2020, her and her husband in Orlando, Florida, part of a big Young Life event we were part of. And we got to talking about art. And then, but she has a gift, but her favorite color is turquoise. She actually sent me a little card that she painted one time that had a lot of turquoise in it. So that's how we get Terry Tardy turquoise out of Cheap Joe's paintings. It really is called Andrew turquoise because one of Cheap Joe's good friends was Don Andrews, and this was his go-to color, and so Joe did the color Andrews turquoise when they mixed it and got the company to do it. And so I just call it Terry Tardy turquoise because it's T cubed, which I think is funny. And that's maybe a goal of mine in the future before I leave this property, is just to have some rue colors, a redhead rue and a beak orange, beak yellow. Not really, but it'd be kind of fun. Marie Pikert, good morning. Linda Schleitning, good morning to you. Laura Logan, Gingerland Pate, Gary Christian. Gary's on the show this morning, a good friend out of Greenville, South Carolina. And there is a connection and story there that I'll tell you about a little later when we talk about that. Okay, Virginia Mann, Kenneth Sanders, or is it Saunders? We don't know. Dorothy Beasley, welcome. Claudia Zent. Love to have you guys on here. Marlena Davis. All right. Here we go, man. There's a whole lot of folks piling on. Irene Shrouds, thank you for being here. And Maggie Carnahan, I remember this because it's Culpeper, Virginia. See, that's how it comes together. All right, here we go. Don't want to miss some of you. Mike Paramore, got a couple bees laid on the desk today. Mike is a beekeeper and always love that. James O. Wade, Bob from the morning of sadly snowless woods of Minnesota. Yeah, okay. Mickey Hupp, thanks for being on the show. Gene Hackney from Toronto. Gene, if I ever said your name before, I'm not sure, but I didn't know Toronto was connected in there. So I'm supposed to say the way that us Southerners do, hey, good to have you on the show. And literally, Toronto, beautiful city. Sharon Clark, always good to have you this morning. And Deborah Hauser, good night. Look at all you people piling on the show. I love it. All right, let's paint. Here we go. This is Kilimanjaro 140-pound paper. Some of my favorite, you know that. It just is. I love it. And I even love these little fly sheets. And here I was looking for scrap paper or a scratch paper. This is the best. It is just slick as glass. A fly can't light on it. And but what I wanted to do this morning is I'm going to pull a sheet out of here, this 140-pound. There it is right there. And it's 5.5 by 9.5, which is kind of a weird size. But here's what I find. I find that it works really well if I chop it. And I'll chop it like so by just drawing a little line here and here. And if I do that, if I box it off right here and here, just with a little line, it makes an absolute perfect 5x7 print. And so I'll try to leave a little line. I normally don't because I like people to shadow box their paintings and not, mat them all out and make them. Here's the thing. You can if you want to, and if it's your style. If you want to spend twice as much on the framing as you do on the painting, you can certainly do whatever you want to do. It's your painting. But sometimes I don't let the size of the paper dictate where I go and where I don't go. Anyway, this is a little smaller piece of paper. You see the difference in the color there? Can you see that? Look, this one almost box into the background, and this one has a little more natural in it. That's called sizing. Oh, and you go, duh, one's bigger than the other. No, I'm talking about the bleach or the color that they put in. So most of the time, if I'm sending artwork to a printer, my friends Gary at Pen Prints and Penny down there in near Greenville, if I send something to them, or if I send it out to my daughter, or for even now that I'm doing some prints on Etsy, they're not printed by Etsy. They're just sold on Etsy. Even if I do that, they're sent on really what I call bright white paper, not even natural white. This would be considered a little more of a natural white, but look at the difference. You can actually see it in this light this morning. So these go to a little coffee shop up the road, 5x7 Originals, and they called and said, it's a funny story. I was in there Thursday morning having coffee, and I showed my friend. He said, don't you hang some paintings here? And I said, yeah, here's 5 hanging on this wall right here. And he said, do they sell well? And I said, I don't know. I just hang them here. I mean, over the last couple of years, yes, they do. I keep 4 or 5 on their wall. And so, but I said, I price these a little differently, and they're a little higher because I used a better frame. And these are all Christmas themed. And so I got home. So we visited about an hour, and I came home, and I had some work to do. And she sends me a note and says, oh, I'm sorry, I missed you at the coffee shop, but 4 of your paintings sold. And I went, what? I was just there. And so anyway, so this painting goes back there, and so does this little painting that I did of the Christmas scene. So I'm rambling, which is what I do. Okay, so this is going to be a loose painting that I want to show you how sometimes we get down with our pens and pencils and all the things we mess with, labor with, and we forget what it is that we're doing. It doesn't matter what brush you use today. I'm just pulling out a few here to leave them laying there. It doesn't. Stop worrying about, do I have the right brush? Just get a brush that's got decent. If it's got nylon fibers, that's fine. If it's got synthetic hair, that's fine. And get some good paint that you like. and spray a little water on the paint. This is my palette. It's in my cast iron skillet. Just wake up here. And I'm giving it just a little, maybe I'm not, maybe I think, I'm going to have to get a new water bottle for Christmas, it looks like. Yep. Okay. I do wear those out, by the way. There we go. This one's working, I think. Oh, yeah, I hear it now. So I'm just giving these a little bit. Both of these are pretty. Oh, maybe I should hold it up like that. Okay. All right, so there we go. So there's a little wet paint in there, and I just do that to wake up my colors. And I generally have a clean paper towel or even a dirty one laying around somewhere. So here we go. All right. We'll throw this down, and I'm just going to start off with an 07 because I want you to see this thing pop up here a little bit. And I'm just going to do it like this. So I'm just going to do this this loose roux. I sold one like it yesterday or day before, I don't know. And I'm toying with this idea. So here we go. A little music, maestro, and let's put that music back on and started with, and I'll just paint to that. Here we go. All right, just the loose face on my roux. This is the rooster that's arguing with the fence post. So here he is. He's out a little bit like this. He's in his aggressive stance. There he is right there, and I'm just going to use some cross-hatching here for my lines underneath. I always just like to do this, you know this. Put them out there like that. See them coming together? I'm going to change pins. I'm going to go from an 07 to an 05 pintail inner gel. Why? Just because I want some lighter lines up in here like this. And then I'm going to change pins again. I'm going to grab a dark, this is a Metropolitan fountain pen. And we'll just grab this fountain pen and we'll go in here and I'm going to do some dark work right in here. Just a little, these pin stripes that I know are going to turn. You think, well, this is the way he always does his paintings. Now I'm going to change it on you a little bit here. I laid out a lot of different brushes. In fact, I even laid out this bamboo brush here this morning. So this is a number 1 Yasutoma brush. Loose lines, yep, you bet. Just really loose lines. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something that you probably didn't expect. I'm just going to splatter some water. You've seen me do this before. Just put a little water in here and let it break the lines of the ink. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do this, which is kind of rare for me to do the base of this before. Look at this. This is that ink already running a little bit. So there's no kidding. This rooster is here, and you can see he's getting ready to argue with the fence post. I may draw the fence post out here. I might not. Don't need it. But I want to change and adapt a little bit. I want to go in here and just touch some red up in his head, just like that. And while I got it here, I'm just going to touch a little bit of red right in there, just like that, okay? This is as loose as I know how to get. And so, remember I said I was just directing with my brush? Here it goes. Look at that right there. Boom. All right. I think this rooster requires a little purple in here. The music seems loud to me. It might be too loud for you. I'm not sure. All right. I'm going to grab a little bit of orange and come in just right there and just touch it in. I'm going to grab a little bit because everybody consists of thinking, your mind says it's got to be a little bit of yellow up in the beak. I think so too, but I'll put some there. Now I'm just going to grab, where's Terry Tardy? She's on the show today, so I'm just going to grab some turquoise and I'm going to drop it in here just like this and let it roll in. And it's got to have some ultramarine blue because, I mean, after all, for heaven's sakes, how could you paint a rooster without some ultramarine in it? I'm going to just got a clean brush. I got a clean brush, and I'm just going to grab a damp brush, more than damp. Listen to this. Here we go. Look at this. Sometimes I put my brush in the water. I swash it around most of the time, and then I'll tap it out, pop, pop, pop. And sometimes if I want a semi-dry brush, I'll just tap it 3 times on here, 3 or 4 times. It's just what I do. There's no magic in the number except that when I hammer on an anvil, I hit it 3 times and turn the steel. Da, 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 boom, da, 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 boom. That's part of my rhythm. I find that I do the same thing with my brushes. It's just a rhythm I know. It's part of my style. So if I'm all the time going like, well, I'm not stirring the soup here. I'm going like, and then ba, ba, ba. And that's why none of my brushes, the old brushes that I have no paint on their shoulders up here. See, all this has been knocked off and chipped and broken because I'm going bang, bang, bang. I'm chipping it on the jar. All right, so what I've done here is I've just grabbed a really wet brush. So look, I'm just putting the water, I'm putting the brush in. I brought this over here to show you and I moved it. I'm putting the water in. My water's turned purple. And then I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to just drop some water right down on the painting, just like that. And I'm just going to let that water just race out anywhere it wants to and let it go. And I'm probably going to go in right here, grab a little of this and a little of this and a little of that. And just, that's going to be the color of the legs of this rooster, just like this. And I'm just making them damp a little bit. I'm not really even, and I want just a touch of red in there too. So I'm using my rooster as my palette to come in and paint the legs, just touching them just like that. And other than having a little stroke of this beautiful green, which needs to go right there somewhere, I think I'm done with this rooster. And so you think, well, that looks just like some of your other roosters. And I'm going to tell you, it might, because I have a loose style anyway. But what I've changed in the last few days that I've been just working on this, I've changed the fact that there's a lot of wiriness and loose lines underneath. Now, Jason mentioned something a few minutes ago. He really is one who does a lot of lines and then paints over them. Architects do that. That's what they do. But he does a lot of building lines and sweeps over it. I'm doing a similar thing here with my pen in just letting the art be what it is and not be too detailed in my drawing. And sometimes we fear that a little bit. I don't know why. I think we fear that we're going back to those little drawings that we did in the 3rd grade, you know, that you just went around and around and then you colored in all the different colors. I kind of loved that when I was in the 3rd grade. And I kind of love that childlikeness that goes into my art today. So just to show you, here's a cup. This is a selfishly marketing thing, but this is the cup that I sent Pen Prints. No, this one is from, they didn't do cups, they do the printed work. This is the one that we sent to my daughter, and so she took the think like an artist and the head. No, but look at the tightness of this. Here, let me show you. You can even see here. You see where there's a real distinct catch of the bill, and this is a good piece of art that I love. I love this style. It's good. I'm bragging about my art, but I'm saying I like this art. I paint things that I like, but I also want you to see this, that it's just there. And if I wanted those lines to be a little more prominent, I could come in actually here and bring a little bit of some of this, what am I trying to say, ink in there, and maybe grab this 05 Preppy pen and just come in and grab some of it, see if it's going to run on me the way it's supposed to this morning. Hey, wake up. All right, there it is. It's been a while since I've used this pen, so I'm putting it in the wet substrate here, and we'll see if it's going to wake up. It's not wanting to right now. So, all right, we can change that. Let me show you how I would change that. I just go in here and get a little thinner brush this morning, and I'm going to go grab a number 1, just a number 1 brush. I'm going to go up here in my lamp black, and I'm going to get some lamp black, and I'm just going to touch it right there. That's what I was trying to get the pen to do, and it wouldn't do it. And we'll come in here and just get a little shadow underneath this leg, and there's a little. That's about all the detail I'm going to give it today, except for get a little more of this lamp black. I'm going to do the toenails in this with this right there and there. Ooh, look at that. Can you believe that? That's just the toenail. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of this number. What is this brush right here? This is a number 6. Number 6. I'm just going to grab this brush, clean it out a little bit here. And then just put a little bit of green mixture down here in this. And all right, so this gives you a little idea of how loose a roux can be if you just kind of run with it like that. And that's kind of fun. I'm gonna do this one more time and show you one more time just how, maybe I'll try rooster head and just Let me let this one dry and we'll come back to it in a minute. Now I got to put it in a flat place here. And you wouldn't believe it, right? There's no flat places on my desk, so there's one right there. Okay, I bounced it in the coffee cup. All right, so when you're thinking about your style, and this is the stuff that I'm going to start doing in the future of just some little blurbs that I'm going to do on my Facebook page. I'm going to keep painting on Saturday, Lord willing, as long as I'm on this planet and my equipment holds out. How loose can a Roo be? Why a fountain pen rather than a Pentel 03 or 05? Is the bleed less? Absolutely not. The bleed is more, June. Usually the bleed of a fountain pen is much, much more than the 05. I wanted less bleed in the lines. I wanted more bleed when I grabbed that painting and stuck that fountain pen to it. I wanted the water to suck the ink out of the fountain pen, but it didn't cooperate like it was supposed to. I was hoping that it would reach in there and grab that and take it somewhere. And sometimes it does. It just depends on the ends of the pen. But you can see the amount of bleed that this has in it. It's just fantastic. So sometimes I'll grab it like this. See that? Can you see? Now of course it's doing it. There's enough water to do it. Can you see what this is doing? Look at that beautiful color that's just racing out of the pen right there. Oh my gosh. I mean, this is why does it waste a lot? Does it waste ink? Not if you're an artist. You don't waste paint. You put paint on the paper and you don't worry about that. You paid a little money for it. But it's really fun when that happens. Also, it has something to do with the paper. It bleeds less on one 40-pound cold press than it does on one 40-pound hot press. Hot press allows the water to roll over the surface and doesn't get sucked into the cotton undulations. Man, that sounds technical, and so help me, it's not. But remember, your paper matters. That's why the cheaper paper you buy, and you want to do detail painting, buy good paper, and it'll hold that ink and paint in place. If you use a loose page, it's going to just go wherever it wants to go sometimes, and that also makes a difference of what kind of paper it is. Is it Kilimanjaro? Is it fluid paper? Is it Fabriano paper? Here's a Fabriano paper that sometimes just takes off and does its own thing as well. And so you've got to be careful with how you put the ink and the paint on there. And this paper is a little stiffer. And by the way, this does not have 100% cotton. So this ink, I'm using ink, this ink is going to lay up here on this paper a little more than it would if it were cotton. Okay, so now I'm going to use the same brush and I'm going to go in. This is Fabriano paper, 140 pound, no cotton in it. Okay. It's 4x8, and I'm just going to go in here and grab this again. Now it's beginning to soak into the a little bit because I can see it moving. It's not. I can see less bleed in it already. But I'm going to go in here and grab a little bit of this red now and just watch what happens when I put it in there and watch it take off a little bit. But I'm going to drag this in. I want this black to join in with the red. That's just kind of how I really love these colors coming together, and people think, well, I don't understand why you're just putting all these colors in there like that, and you're going, because life is short and I don't have much time to paint this rooster. It really isn't that short, but it is. It's fragile. And so here's a little bit of yellow, and come in here and make some orange, and then it's done. And you go, wait a minute, how can it be done? You just started it. And I think that's part of the thing that you just set aside and say, get over yourself and get over people saying, well, it looks like you just sort of threw art at a wet piece or paint at a wet piece of paper. And I go, I think I did. And that's okay with me. All right. So that gives you a little idea of how loose this paper is. Look, but I also, what I don't like about this paper is that you can see all a very symmetrical tractor gear in there. And that's just kind of how it works out. Okay. All right. It's about the bottom of the hour, and I promised you a story. And so while these are drying, and I'm going to come back to it, and I'm going to push on this a little bit as opposed to this. This has got cotton in it, and it's a little less predictable. This is very predictable. You see, can you see the, let me see if you can, I'm going to do a close up on this if I can. That's as close as I can get. Let me see if I can focus so that you might see those little, maybe you can see that. Let's see here. All right, what I'm talking about is right here, these little pieces of the paper right here in this looks like I ran over it with a form or a tractor tire, a small turf tire. This looked like the imprint of a tread of a tire. Do you see that? So this paper looks that way. This one, you'll never see that in here, and it just lets my fumato of the colors blend. You don't even get this when you print something on, I noticed that on this tea towel these guys printed for me. See, there's the cotton here, the weave, you don't see that. You just see the color, but you know this is cotton. And so I love this concept of how it prints. And that's why I like cotton. That's why I like cotton. That's why I like cotton shirts. That's why I like cotton in my paper. So that gives you a good idea of how that is. This is more of a rolled off and pressed down cold. This is more of a natural process. Okay, you're going to have to learn to love what you love. Doing this style of very loose painting with just water, you might like hot press paper. You might just enjoy seeing how that works. That's kind of fun. All right. Hey, many years ago, cold press. Let me see if there's a couple more questions. Wow, what a turnout. Let's do this. Questions. No, I put them in the wrong place again. You monkey head. Here we go. And Q. Can you talk about framing? Do you ever sandwich between glass without a mat? Yes, I do. And that's it. Just sandwich frame it. Just shadow it like that. Lots of times I'll take 2 pieces of glass and put my artwork there, especially if there's doodles or if there's things around the paint that people have done studies, or if they've just left a sketch or a word or something or an idea to the artist. Sometimes I send those out. And I was at a guy's house one day and I said, I was thinking you were going to cut that there. And he goes, oh, no. I don't want to cut that there. That's where I loved your idea, and I just kept it there. And I thought, this is a process. And I went, thank you. And so sandwiched in between art, I'd cut the tractor gears off if they're ever, I call these a little, but if sometimes I send out a ripped piece of paper and the framer goes, well, I don't know what to do with this. You go, just sandwich it and leave that. It's very organic. It's very fresh and authentic. And I like that in my own artwork when I have some. It depends on where it's going to hang in the house too. If it hangs in the kitchen, you can get away with anything. If it hangs in a gallery, you can get away with anything. If it hangs in your room, which is of high hospitality and everything's polished and slick, you might want it a little more crisper. Might want it matted. And so you can do that. It's a good question though. Why a fountain pen rather than a 05? Yes, it has to do with the bleed. And do you think differently about how you create your artwork now that you are putting it on products? I don't all the time, Jason. That's a great question, which will lead me to the next thing right after this story I tell you. Because here's what you do. All of us want feedback. You say you don't, but you do. You say you don't think you want any, but yeah, you really want some feedback somewhere. But you want feedback for a reason. You want feedback with trust. You just don't want anybody to say, I don't think I like your art. Well, it doesn't matter if they don't like it or not, because if they don't like it, they're not going to buy it. But they're just one person in the world. And so what difference does that make? And I wanted a little more orange in those feet just because I did. And so sometimes I'll go back in and I'll just do things like that before the piece of artwork is done, and I just kind of like it. Okay. But I'm going to show you this other piece when it dries. So right now it's just sitting over here collecting a little air, and then we'll go from there. So lots of thoughts on my mind. So Jason, that's a great question. I'll come back to you on that. If I get feedback from someone who is in a gallery, who's in a print shop, who is my daughter, my wife, or a trusted friend who says, hey, did you think about this? I'll say, I did, but why? And they'll say, because this and this. They're not there to offend me and say, I can do it better. They're there to say, it would work better if we did this, or this connects better with that. Excuse me. And so at that point in time, I would consider it and say, wow, that's a good point. So yes, I might paint differently for that. I might splatter differently, or I might paint with more detail. We found out printing tea towels for pen prints that if I don't use a bold pen, thank you, Pat, for sending me a gel Sharpie that some of you use. I use one of my bold. I do have some R2 bold pens, but I used on a couple of them. I just used that Sharpie gel. So Pat shared with me a piece of information. She just mailed it to me and said, here, she didn't say anything. She just put it in the box and she knew I would try it, right? It's like sending me a hammer and go, I'm going to go drive a nail with it or hit a piece of steel with it. And so I did. And I went, whoa, when I send that to the printer, my captions come alive and they're still in my handwriting. And that's one of the things that pen prints wanted. They wanted my connection in captions to be alive in my paintings. And what have I said for a long time? If you want a better rooster painter, you can find a billion of them online. But can you find one? Yes, you can. But in my heart of hearts, I think like an artist, and I think I'll be able to write a caption that will connect to somebody's heart, somebody's soul, somebody's head and heart together. And that will be worth them saying, I'd like to have that on my wall, or I'd like to have that on my shirt, or I'd like to have that on my cup. So it's that sort of thing. And that's what adopted Think Like an Artist. That's where that came from. You know, I just go, people say, you're an artist. It's in Noodle, it's in Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle. I'm so sorry. The person who said, well, I don't think this is fine art. And I said, I think it's fine with me. And that prompted me to say, are you an artist? They would say, I'm an artist. And if I say that I'm an artist, or if I say that I'm a chef, if I say that then people expect me to be some expert level that I might not even be. Listen to this in your own art, in your own life. But if I say I'm trying to, or I'm thinking like one, I think like an artist, and they go, oh, wow, that is strange. And I go, yeah, because I'm not offended by whether I mess up or not. I'm trying to get something out that pleases me and my style and pleases others and connects people. If we're not connecting people in this walk in life, then what in the world is Christmas for? Wow, what a segue to show you this story. Didn't think about that when I was telling it. One of the highlights in my life was being in Florida, and Florida on the globe is at about 32 degrees latitude. The city I was in, Ponte Vedra Beach, and you think, really, wow. And 32 degrees, and you go around the globe, and it's another part of the country that I pray for. Sometimes daily, weekly, and that's Israel right now. It's just a mess. And I'm sad for the people there, but that's not out of God's plan. And it's also the place where he chose to come when he came at Christmas. And so for all the places in the world that he could have shown up, he picks that place. And part of it is on the trade route. And so, I mean, it's in the middle of everything. It's the belly button for me. That's kind of how I say it in my non-theological terms. And so we're in Ponte Vedra. You got palm trees, you got sawgrass, you got scrub oak, you've got you don't have olive trees like you do in the Middle East, but you've got all these crazy things that grow because of the climate and because of the humidity. And I've got a tickle in my throat. I'm over all my cold, and now I've got a tickle in my throat. So we're at this little church, and we wanted to connect with the community. It was coming up Christmas, and everybody wanted to do a big musical. And I said, no, let's go the other way. Let's go back 2,000 years. So we had this little shed on this piece of property, and we built a little manger scene in there, and we put in some lights and hay and straw, and we used a little doll, and my daughter was Mary, and we used a friend of mine who was Joseph, and we got a couple animals, we got a couple sheep next door. And so we actually had people come and just walk through this little scene. And then we had a little fire burning. We served hot chocolate, just shook hands with the neighbors. People just kept coming and kept coming. And there were like 600 people showed up that night. And we went, we have stumbled onto something that's not new. It's not original. It's perfect, though. So the next year we did it, and we built a bigger set, and I got a crew of volunteers, and we came out. And anyway, we literally built this little city. And I said, I don't want performers in here. It's not like I want to stop and go, it's Jerusalem Saturday night. I wasn't trying to do that. I wasn't trying to do this event or project. I just wanted to do a happening. And so we built this happening. So Carol, we bought a bolt of muslin cloth, just the white, gray, yellowish cloth, feed sack looking stuff. And she would just cut a hole in it, use some ties, create it. That was her gift. And she had a way to just make, and headpieces, a little bit of color. She created some townspeople. Anyway, I found a local, a guy who had animals, like a petting zoo. And I said, can you get me some sheep? He said, how many? I said, I want a dozen. And so I went and I bought 3 dozen chickens, and I just turned them loose on this little compound. We fenced it in. And I said, could you give me a camel? He said, oh, man, I know some guys, but it's expensive to rent one. I said, don't worry about it. So I didn't have any money, but what we did was we put beggars in this little city, and they would ask for alms for the poor. And there was a little sign there that said, alms and donations given to the beggars in the city go to defray the cost of this event, make it free for you and your family to walk through. We didn't explain anything, and I had carpenters, and anyway, it goes on and on and on. So we built this living nativity that in 10 years went from about 600 people to close to 30,000 people who would come in Jacksonville to see this thing. It's called a Bethlehem visit. It was during that time that Carol started buying Fontini. She had discovered it on a trip in Italy, and then they made these castings of the original carvings, and so she started buying it, and we wanted a nativity set that our kids could touch with their hands. So because we were living in Florida, I took an orange box, and I cut it up with my kids one day, my boys out in the shop one day, and we used some twigs, and we built the little nativity set, the little creche, and I'm sure it was a cave and underground, a house in stone, but we built it in the Renaissance style of how the painters painted it. It was probably architecturally to them a little cabin or shed. So that's kind of how we built it. And then Fontini came, but we didn't just want the Fontini to show up and be all around like a still life. We wanted them to move, but they're plastic people, polymer people. We won't call them plastic. We'll call them polymer. And so we wanted them to move around the house. So we put the wise man out in the shepherd's field we put the wise man in the east. And in our house in North Carolina, that was different. Here in our house, it's this. So here's the video you're about to see. It's how these people come together and connect this time of year for this purpose. So here is my Christmas story based on real life, and then Carol's creativity and our coming together, and just became a tradition in our family. And it also started with this little concept of when we would put a baby in the manger in our live nativity, we never billboarded who the baby was, and we didn't tell people. We didn't have somebody standing there and say, oh, it's supposed to be the baby Jesus, it's supposed to be the baby Jesus. You make sure you see the baby Jesus. We didn't, In fact, the lady told me one time that I needed a sign, because she said, I walked through this entire event, 300 cast, 35 animals, 3 camels, all these chickens running around, shepherds coming through with their sheep. I walked through all this with fires burning and chickens roasting and people stomping on grapes. I went through all of that, and I almost missed the baby. You need a sign. And I said, the baby has been missed most of the time. In fact, it'd be more fun if we hid the baby Jesus. And so we started hiding baby Jesuses. We'd get invited to a Christmas party, and I'd hide the baby Jesus out of the manger, and I'd put it in my pocket. Sometimes I'd take them home and mail them back. And I've actually had calls and notes that said, you didn't see what happened during the cleanup. We think we threw baby Jesus out with the trash. And it just, the stories go on and on and on. So I don't have my website up. I bought it years ago. The domain is called hidethebabyjesus.com, and it goes on. The stories are great. Here is my nativity story, and I wanted you to see. And let's see if it pops up here. It may or may not. Let's see. Carol started our Fontanini collection. They're all stored in this tub, and it's easy to let grandkids help you set up this whole scene at Christmas.
All the townspeople are displayed all over the house, different places. Different rooms become homesteads and markets and shops, and townspeople set up wherever they want to, on top of tables, under lamps, on the arms of chairs, hidden away. It's a good thing they're not breakable. They're made out of polymer. Good thing for Joseph. Just pick him back up, and he and Mary are ready to go. They're in the far part of the house. They've got a long journey ahead. There's a blacksmith. There's a lot of shepherds and sheep, and there's some angels who appear to them over this marble entry table. There's some wise men, and of course they take their place in the far eastern part of the house. And there are more sheep. One of our favorites is this little shepherd holding a lamb, shielding his eyes from the bright light of when the angels appear. Her name, of course, is Gloria, or that's what our son said when he was little. So Mary and Joseph begin this journey. They circle the room, and as they do, all the other townspeople, everyone, including the shepherds, they all start to move forward across the travertine and the hardwood and to this brick hearth where there's a little manger scene set up. It's made out of an orange crate. Notice there's no baby there. Well, it's not time. The wise men know that. They've seen the sign, but they're on a journey. Still no baby. We call it hide the baby Jesus. Someone in our house has been doing that for years. Now the grandkids are doing it. And then on Christmas morning, whoever hid the baby puts the baby in the manger and reads the Christmas story. And the light has come. And that's Christmas.
So we add to it from time to time, and we add different townspeople, and we put folks together, and it's just been a fun thing to do. And people come to our house, and Mocha, our chocolate lab, we had an English lab for 15 years. He would sometimes chew up a sheep or two, and we vacuumed up a tiny little sheep. There's one of those in there that literally is like this, like setting him up is almost, my hands almost don't do it. And so, but people come to our house and they go, oh my gosh, what's this little person doing? I said, oh, that's a townsperson. They're on their way to Bethlehem to register. They're like, excuse me? So yeah, Bethlehem's over by the fireplace. And so we lay our house out, and people come, and there's some on the dining room table, and they move them, and people are coming to our house for a tea on the 19th, and some of those people will show up, and we'll ask them before they leave to grab someone and move them a little closer where they think they need to be. And so literally, sometimes they're in the middle of the floor, they're by table legs, and so what it's done is it's engaged us. Your job with art, he segues, he cuts the story. Your job with art, your art, not my art. My art, God bless you for owning my art, but your job with your art is to engage people somehow. Now, it may be for therapy for you. That is so awesome. And it may be what pulls you and centers you, but somebody else is like you. Somebody else feels like you. And so your art is to somehow share. If you sell it, more power to you. Own more art tools and share more of it. And take your family out to eat on the proceeds if you do that. My point is this. If you don't sell it, give some of it away. If you don't do that, then put it in a place where other people can experience it. So for me, COVID and finding live streaming and teaching someone else how to live stream during COVID, I would have not done that had we not stumbled through this time of being in the house and saying, I have to engage with people. I'm wired that way. Those are the things that remind me, not just of the Christmas story, but of life in general. That why do I want to walk through this place alone? You guys build the shop here. All these conversations today, if I went through all of the conversations here, and by the way, I'm going to give this away today because it is the 2nd of December, and at the first of the month, I always give a painting away just to engage and connect. I've been doing that since I started painting. And so I'm going to sign this and I'm going to give it away, and I'm going to call it rough as a cob or something. And, or remember that Christmas is supposed to be loose. I'm going to put a caption on it that I'm not going to show you. You're going to trim this off and maybe trim it here. I'll cut it down 5x7 so you can put it easily in a frame. And so whatever I do, I'll do it real closely in here like that. But it's a giveaway at the end of the show for anybody who's on the show. But if you go back and read the comments, you're going to find that you're connecting with each other far more than you're connecting with me. Do I find that as a failure? No. You're here because art is pulling you in, and you come for the stories, you come for the tea, and you learn to kind of fellowship in the process of what you're here for. All right, so do people tell me about my art? Yes. There's a gentleman on the show today named Gary who called me or sent me a note. Maybe he called me and he said, hey, first he sent me a text and he said, he's part of Pen Prints, and the people who print, if you want Roodoodles prints, or if you want a cup or glasses, if you want my coffee mugs, I think those are still on my Shopify. I got pages all over the place. My point is this. If you want anything printed, if you want a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, or if you want tea towels, you can get those at Pen Prints Inc. And I'll put these links in there so they'll pop up. It's Pen, Penn, Prints, PRINTS.shop. And you can go to their shop. You can click on the Roodoodles link and it'll take you through. And it's a massive shop. So you scroll through there and it's going to say, what is all this? If it's a t-shirt, if it's a different tea towel. And so you can do that. So those guys will hustle that. But he called me. He said, hey, we were thinking about you and we were digging through some stuff. And we found, here it is, drum roll please, we found 50 Christmas ornaments, ceramic disc with a hole already in them. And we think we could print one of your Christmas scenes on it if you'd like. And we'll offer those 50. And I said, and we talked again, and we decided that, no, you just have 49 because I'm taking one personally. And so do I ever, is my art ever changed by what somebody sends me? Yes. So here's what I did. I said, I love this idea. I went and I got, let's see if I can get to a page here. Hold on one second. This is a hat. Oh, that's my son's hat right there. That's the hat that I did. These guys have that hat, or they can't have that hat. Here's the page right here. So I sent them 2 pieces of art, and here they are. A little disc piece. I painted them on, yes, you're right, gray paper, 140-pound Kilimanjaro. And behold, this is Christmas on the manger. And then I said, fact is, this is the joy of the world. And so I said, you guys choose. And so they chose the one on the right, this one right here. Fact is, this is the joy of the world. And I have somewhere on my ornament, is this it? Ornament image. I don't see it on here. That's rats. I picked it up. Maybe it's on my page. Hold on one second here. I'm going to look. Just give me a minute. I pulled it off of my phone yesterday. They sent me, son of a gun. I could lose anything though, so just give me a minute here. Let me see if I can find it. Moving this around. Oh, got it. Here it is right here. There it is. It's going to come up in just a second. There it is right there. Boom. Okay, so let's move this back over now. All right. So that painting has now become on this little ornament right here, and it's about I think it's about an inch and a half, or I believe it's about an inch and a half disc, but it's ceramic. And here's the thing: they are. I've got 49 of them, and you can get it at Pen Prints, and I'm going to put the link at the end of this, or if Gary's on the show, he can share it. Well, you never find it in the comments. I'm just going to put it there. It's penprints.com. No, it's not. It's penprintsinc.shop. And I will print it for you right here. And then here's the trick. I've got 49 of them, and they're going to be $15 each plus shipping. and it's ceramic, and that's it. Once they're gone, they're gone. Until next year, Lord willing, I'm here to paint another one on 2024. So here we go. Pen, prints. This is what you get for sleeping late. Supposed to have this finished. Boom. There it is right here. Watch this. I bet I can move it right over here in front of this. Pen Prints Ink .shop. There it is right there. Okay. You see that? Pen Prints Ink .shop. I'm going to move it down here on the bottom. And so you can take a screenshot of this right now. Pen Prints Ink .shop. That's where, there it is. Jason just popped it up. That's it. Collection, Roodoodles. And there's, that's where you'll find my tea towels with t-shirts. You'll find, we're going to do some different hats this next coming year for folks. And Mike, I saw you said like the hat. We might have to do a hat with a bee on it for beekeepers when they take off their bonnet. And we might have to do a hat with some fish and flies. But anyway, that's the concept. So whatever those guys want to do, I've letting them run with my art, and they're a creative bunch, and I like who they are. I like how they connect with people too, and their heart is kind of the story that I just told you. They love connecting with people, and it's really about the connection. Christmas is about that. So let's do this. There's 49 of those ornaments. First come, first serve, $15. The back of it says, I think it says Roodoodles, and it says Christmas 2023. So that's on the back of the ornament, I believe. So, boom. Somebody just asked me about an ornament too, and it was like 10 minutes before Mike called. It happens in my life like that. It's an 8 or 12-minute deal where somebody will be talking and the phone will ring, and I have no control over that. It just happens. All right, this is the crazy wild roo that I did. I just wanted you to see how these colors with all that in here. What if I came back? Listen, what if he does? He says he's getting ready to give it away. What if I just came back in here and I put in some of those lines that I really do love in my art, and I did it like this. And life is, I'm not doing it 5x7, forget it. Life is short. Loosen up. Roodoodles 2023. Okay, somebody's going to get this. Somebody's going to get this painting right here and all these scribbles. And I think what it needs is a good old-fashioned splash. So let's just give it a good splash here. See if I can find a pencil. There's one right there. And we'll just give it this, just like this. There's a little more water on that brush, a little more blue in there. We'll just give it this. Love it, love it, love it. And a little more orange. I just love that orange, and a little more water. I'm so sorry. Something's tickling my throat like crazy. Oh, I see one more piece of red that I need to change there before I disappear. Hey, thanks for sitting through my story this morning. It's in December. I always tell the Advent story because I love it. And the box is sitting in the foyer this morning, and we're getting ready to put them all out after we go get our Christmas tree. I'll put it on the stand. And no, it's not on one of those green screws. I drill a hole in the bottom, slide it down on a piece. So that's kind of how that thing comes together. And it all works like that. So there's the painting I've been working on. Life is short. Loosen up. 49 ornaments, but I'm going to draw a name right now. You know how I do that, right? I just scroll through all these comments and there's a lot of them this morning. Holy smokes. And I'll go back to these with a cup of tea here in a little bit when I get my voice together, and I'll try to find it. I scroll through just by using the track. I don't look. I look this way, but I'm going to make sure I'm on the trackpad. Up and down, I choose 3 names that pop up on the screen because all these are going by right now. So I'll choose 3 names. I'll throw out the high one, the top one, throw out the bottom one, the one in the middle. I'm going to send you this. All you got to do is send me your name and address. It's still going up and down. So I don't know if I'm at the top or the bottom. It's a fair way to do it. When I first started doing this, I'd have about 12 people on the show, and I would put all their names in a hat, my bowler, and I'd just draw a name. I'm not writing all these names down. So this is the way it gets to be. So here we go. And shoop, 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 shoop. And last little spin. Shoop, shoop. And you're not going to believe it. Great Scott. This is pretty funny. The top name is the Inspired Life Sketching by Jason. The bottom one is Kenneth Sanders, and the middle one is Donna Buckley. And you got it. There it is right there. And it looks like that comment came in right about 9:37. I paint to make myself happy, she said. What a great way to do it. So loosen up and paint this one. Donna, would you send me your... Donna is who we call Payne's Gray Donna. And Donna, if you would send me your address, send it to, just email it to roodoodles@gmail.com. I'll put this in an envelope and send it to you next week, and maybe it'll get there before the Christmas rush. By the way, if you want tea towels, if you want any of that stuff, you need to order it right away, and keep thinking like an artist. All right, I'm just about out of here because it's 10 o'clock right now, and so I'll answer some of these if you got questions. All right, I go to the end of this. My gosh, there are a lot of names on here today. Thank you very much. Okay, congratulations, Donna. All right. Hey, here's the painting that's going out to Donna today, and there it is. Life is short, loosen up. And it's a good lesson for all of us. Don't be too wound up too tight. Just celebrate something, and celebrate your family, celebrate your art, celebrate your creator. And 49 of those ornaments is all that we have. That's all they had in a box. And could you order more? Yeah, but it's late in the year, and we want you to have them to put on your tree this year. So that's it. So that will be the 23 ornaments. So make it happen if you want one. I'm going to let this dry and then send it. All right. Have a great day, everybody. And I'm out of here like a herd of turtles. And I'm going to keep working on this. I love what happens when you just hard to I kind of have a hard time stopping playing with it because it's just so fun. And so, wow. All right, I'm going to quit maybe while I'm ahead. Maybe got one more little piece of yellow right in there. Wow. I just love that. I'm going to keep doing this for a little while, and I might discover a whole new style that I just love with my roots. They're so loose and radical. And I've done something like this before, but now I'm really trying to do it, so we'll see what happens. All right. Framing it and hanging it up in my dining room. I love it. All right, so if you're going to hang it in your dining room, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a few things up here in it. I'm going to keep piddling with it some so that you may sandwich it between two pieces of glass, and just it'll be fun. So love it. All right, I'm out of here.